What is up, RotoGrinders? Very, very last day of the regular season for Mlb Dfs. 4 o'clock start time as far as the slate. It's a sprint slate. First game starts at 4. Last game starts at 4:20, I believe. So you're going to know really quickly if you're going to be closing the laptop or you won't know if you're going to be winning. I guess you'll have a bit of a sweat there. But yeah, it's a short one with everybody playing baseball. Worth noting, I'm sure you pieced this together. Toronto's playing a doubleheader. They're playing their first game right now against Baltimore. Cross that game off the list. It is available in DK. Just don't click those guys. They're not going to accrue any fantasy points. And also, there are 2 other weather games. As always, that's been the case this week. Weather in Boston, currently orange. Seems kind of dicey. And the Mets game as well, orange-yellow. I will go ahead and drop that in chat for the people. It's myself and Blender. Blender, you drew the short straw, man. You're here for the last game. I'm sure everybody was clamoring to say, I want to do the content for the last slate of the year where no team cares about anything and there's no drama.
Do we care about anything? Why don't you get the 2 people that don't care the most?
Well, I mean, I care about trying to win some money in DFS. So that's the question. I mean, that's the goal here. That's what we're trying to do, obviously. But as far as do I care if certain teams win today? No, I don't care. And I have no loyalty to any team. And so I think you gave up your team loyalty forever ago, right? You don't have that anymore. You have soccer. That's it.
Right. But even that, not doing so well recently.
Who's your favorite soccer team besides Louisville FC?
Well, it was Louisville FC. There's the stuff has gone down the past 2 days with the club that I may not be wearing this hat much longer.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I know. Not to derail it or anything, but you must have seen the news with the women's soccer stuff.
I only saw. Yeah, is that specific to Louisville FC? I didn't know that. I thought Louisville FC was
our women's team is racing Louisville, and it's owned by the same people.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah. Just I did see a little bit on it, and it was terrible. It was disheartening what I read, and I'm like, that sucks. But yeah, yeah. My apologies for being bringing up a downer in the start of the show. But yeah, so Mlb Dfs today. Keep an eye on that weather. Chief meteorologist Kevin Roth will be jumping in around 3:30. We're taking you guys up to 3:30, handing you off to the Crunch Time crew. You got Dave Potts, CheeseIsGood one last time, giving us analysis. Man, Blender, this is a good Blender slate.
It's too much. There's too much going on. First off, with the weather, the only thing that we really should be worried about is New York and Boston. Orange-yellow for the Washington at the Mets game. Scattered light rain showers all day. But it's a kind of an irrelevant game, so I don't know if they play it. That's what Roth says, and same thing from the Boston game. A little bit more rain, so Roth will be on in about an hour, 45 minutes, 55 minutes or so to go over that. But I mean, we have plenty of options. You don't have to go to the Nationals or the Mets or the Red Sox or the Rays. And let me tell you, you could build any lineup you want. I mean, you could. I mean,
well, that's different from other days. How? I'm told I can play anybody I want whenever I want. That's what I'm told.
Well, no, but this is even more play whoever you want, Dad. This is even more so. Dude, you could play Ohtani and Burns together, 10-9 and 10-4 on DraftKings, and still build. You could still have Acuna in your lineup.
Well, okay? No, don't play him. He's not playing.
Okay, well,
there was no chance he's playing in a meaningless game, and he's been dealing with his leg. It's gone on and off. Yeah, I knew that was the Atlanta lineup just dropped. So you probably
just dropped. Okay, so great. So now you have even more. Okay, I can reload this. I mean, just you could stack any team. You could play any pitcher. It's really just the Wild West today.
We're getting pretty much every single lineup because, like I said, it's a sprint slate, and the latest game that starts is at 4:20. The only lineup we do not have is the Cardinals. And I did see a weird note. You probably saw the same note on Twitter. I don't know where they pulled it from, but basically it says Nolan Arenado expects 2 at-bats today. It's like, okay. Well, I'm not playing him.
I want to play the pitchers in the Blue Jays-Orioles game. Our sheet says that the over-under is a half a run.
Well, again, they're not. You weren't listening to my open because they're not. They're on. You can click on them theoretically, but they do not accrue any points on DK. But I don't know why the total is a half a run. I'll tell you why, because whenever there's double headers, it messes with our system. That's what's going on there, I imagine.
I was all excited. I'm like, okay, I got to play Kikuchi or Watkins because like no one's scoring in this game. Like,
Kikuchi throwing a shutout. Do you think it's weird that Judge isn't playing today? Like they pulled him yesterday after his homer. He had a 60-second home run. Now he's at the American League all-time home runs. But like he's right there in batting. Triple Crown used to be like a big deal, right? Remember people get excited.
Is he ahead on that? Is he behind what's happening?
He's ahead in home runs, clearly. He's ahead in RBIs, clearly. And he's behind Luis Arraez in batting average by 4 percentage points. Arraez is playing. He didn't play yesterday after that one at bat. Like it's 315 to 311. It's like it's not likely, but he can go 3 for 4 or 4 for 5 or whatever. And Arraez can go for 4 and he jumps him. Like that. That's not likely to happen, but it's weird that they wouldn't give. I understand whatever. It's a meaningless game otherwise, but has anyone even talked with the Triple Crown? Like it's like been like so buried because of
no one uses batting average. Who cares about the batting average anymore?
Well, your 70-year-old grandfather cares about batting average. Yeah, I mean I don't care about batting average, but like, I don't know whatever. But your average baseball fan who goes to the game, well, this guy's good. He's batting 300. This guy must be a really good hitter. He's a Hall of Famer. You know that guy. You sat next to that guy before.
Right, but I don't think Judge is playing for that guy.
Yeah. Well, no, he's not. But that guy exists. I don't know where that person is. Aren't they clamoring for going for the batting title? And who knows? Every single lineup is out but St. Louis, right? Unless let's give a refresh.
I believe so. I mean, it's not updated in the bat yet. So, like, obviously, all these lineups are coming out one at a time, and the bat updates every like 5 minutes or so. So, like, I still see Acuna in here. So, I'm not gonna run stuff without everything in. But I mean, I gotta X out the Toronto Baltimore game.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So let me at least get rid of that.
Per Dave Roberts, Kershaw will be limited to 4 or 5 innings today. That's kind of what you expected. Yeah. I mean, okay.
But Burns and Ohtani, like they're not on a pitch count or anything, right?
Well, not that we know of. They're not going to come out and say these guys aren't going to be let loose, but they have nothing to play for, which is almost kind of like better, right? It's a team by team decision, and there's no news out there on it. Are we going to get some random guys getting shortened today for whatever reason? It's the end of the season. Sure,
I could see someone like Domingo Germán being pulled early. I mean, I'm looking at the guys that are more likely to be babied, right? Maybe Framber Valdez.
Well, the thing is that Framber Valdez, they have a reason to not go full throttle with him because they need him for the playoffs. The Angels don't need Ohtani for the playoffs. The Brewers certainly don't need Burns for the playoffs. They just signed, Ohtani just signed for next year, $30 million or whatever it was. So obviously they want him good to go for next season. They don't want anything goofy to happen today. But it's almost better to have players that have no incentive after today, right? So
yeah, but there's a lot of players that have no incentive that also are bad players.
Yes. Well, as far as the pitching thing, I mean, I'm going to have a bunch of Ohtani and a bunch of Burns. And if I get burned by that, if one of them happens to come out for 3 or 4 innings, so be it. I'm not anticipating it. Maybe the Angels probably still want to, build that, I don't want to say MVP resume for Ohtani because he's not going to win MVP. It's not going to, you can have your debate and say if he is or he isn't the true MVP, whatever you want, but it's not going to be him. It's Aaron Judge. Like, that's it. End the conversation. I suppose they want to build his season, and Burns wants to finish strong. And is it possible they get the hook? I would say it's less likely than most guys. So everybody's you want to poke holes. We can poke holes all over the place.
So is it time to play Ken Waldichuk then?
No, I don't think it's Ken Waldichuk time.
You even need to pay down at pitching. Like that's, I look at this late and I'm like, oh well, Glenn Otto maybe. I mean, but how do you even? Like, dude, you could play Ohtani and Burns and play almost any way you want anyway. I mean,
yes, that is the point. Yes, and also there's no team that has a team total above 5. There's no man, I got to stack this expensive team in cores that has a team total of 7. Like that doesn't exist today. Last I checked, the highest team total was the Dodgers at 5.01, so just barely. And that's another one, right? Where we've seen some Dodgers get pulled. We've also seen the Dodgers scuffle. They've been bad last, several games. Do you want to finish strong if you're Dave Roberts? I mean, these players aren't going to be playing for 5 or 6 days, depending on how long the wild card takes, right? You think they want to finish strong, stick the landing, however you want to say it, whatever phrase you want to use, and have some good momentum, going into the playoffs, if that is real, if that matters. But ideally, I assume you want to, knock out 10 runs and go into the playoffs. And again, the game doesn't matter, but to have a good psyche, however you want to phrase that. And maybe a couple of guys homer and like, oh, hey, all right, we're going to end on that at bat. Nice home run. Get out of the game. Good job. Keep that to the playoffs. I don't know. And then we've seen the Astros. Astros, another team. Like we've seen them pull guys early, pull guys in the middle of games. Nothing to play for. They're out there.
I think we could just say that. I mean, you have to treat this slate as very high variance, no matter what you think what you don't know. I mean, people could be pinch hit for 2 at bats in. Pitchers could be pulled 3 innings in, and to be able to predict that, other than getting like actual news beforehand, like who the hell knows? So like my attitude on this slate is like stack a team and hope for the best. I mean, like what else are we gonna say? I mean, I look in the YouTube chat. Give me those stummy thumbs. You know how much I love that. Like James Bryce asks, do you feel players that are DHing today are safer to not be pinch hit for? I don't even think that matters, right? I guess it makes logical sense. Since they're not playing the field, they're less likely to get injured or whatever like that. But I mean, anyone could get pinch hit for, and I mean, on any team for any reason under the sun. That, like, I wouldn't even be looking into it. Like, I wouldn't go, well, I'm prioritizing DHs. It's like, I think you're rolling the dice no matter what.
What about bankroll management? I saw a question in chat, and I thought, I wrote this in the survey on Monday. Just like, if you're not willing to embrace goofiness, like, maybe just temper your bankroll. And also, like, the tournaments aren't spectacular today, let's be honest. They're not what they typically are. It's a weird start time. It's game 162. Not a lot of people are focusing on the last day of baseball, which means nothing. There's nothing yet to be determined. Somebody in the chat was talking about why are all the games scheduled at 4:00. I think it was for drama. They wanted to try to build in some drama, and it just didn't happen. There's no drama to be had because everything has been predetermined for.
Right. This is what happens in soccer. Like the last day of the Premier League season, all 10 games are played at once, so that no one team could get an advantage knowing the result of another game. They do then the third group game for the World Cup. I mean, it's fairly common. But like with the bankroll thing, like I'm the opposite way. If you're a GPP player,
embrace
you should love these types of slates where people think they know and they don't know because no one knows anything, right? So you feel less confident, but the field is going to be way more confident than you think. So to me, it's these types of days that I would play more. I would play more GPP, but not even focus on cash or anything. I love like NFL slates where I don't know what the rushing, people are out. Those basketball slates where like 14 people are out and we don't know, everyone's questionable. Like those are GPP days. Those are the days to take advantage and embrace the variance. On the days where it's like we kind of know everything. We know the couple of players that are very, very inefficiently priced. It's like you feel more comfortable, but the field feels more comfortable. So like your edge isn't nearly as there. If you're someone that likes embracing variance, today's the day for you.
Cardinals lineup just came out. It's bad. Arenado's in there, but nobody else really. Newt Bar. The bar of Newt is leading off. Edmund second. Arenado batting second. Third. Dickerson cleanup. Yippas is batting fifth. You have Burleson, Carlson, Kisner. I got it right. I have to think every time I see his name. It's Kisner.
Is it Nisner? Is it Knisner?
No. It's so. Here's the trick. You got to ignore the first end. Just throw it out.
Like, why doesn't he just get rid of it then?
Well, I can take it up with the Kisners, but just pretend like you don't see it. And that end just throws me off, man. I always want to pause.
Okay. I'm disregarding all ends today
then. Well, so you like Utbar leading off?
I love Utbar. I'm gonna play a little bit of Arrow Savali and some Glee Auto and some Kev Waldachuk and some Corby Burrs, right? No ends. No ends today.
And Paul DeYoung still couldn't crack. He's still stuck in that 9-hole, by the way.
You mean Paul DeJog?
Yeah. It's a long J. It's like jogging, or is it called yogging? It's a new fad.
I'm not rostering anyone with an N in their name. That's my strategy today.
So I thought your strategy was going to have 1-1, 1-1, 1-1, 1-1 stacks. Is that not a strategy?
It's a look how big the slate is. You should be stacking, obviously.
It's funny. The last show we had like a 3-game slate or maybe a 4-game slate, and it was a 3-gamer, and I tried it just to try to stick it to you, and just for funsies, and it didn't work. We failed.
As expected.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I could pick any random lineup you make, and that's expected. It's supposed to fail. It's not going
right, but mine has a little bit more win equity then, at least.
Sure, if you want to use those fancy.
Why are people getting scratched? What's going on? Jared Kalenic was just scratched. Tyro Estrada. Why even bother coming up with the lineup? What's going on?
Kalenic was scratched. Miranda was scratched, and Estrada was scratched for San Francisco. They got planes to catch, man. They got golf courses and beaches to visit, I suppose.
And they should have never been in the lineup to begin with. Why even bother doing this?
I don't know, but you will see this. Kalenic is probably not the last guy to get scratched. But we do have every single lineup officially, which is nice. And it's kind of a guessing game with the Dodgers are the best team, right? And they're facing some dude I'd never heard of. Davis is his name. No, wait, Austin Gomber's the starter? When did that happen? When did Austin Gomber's? When was that announced? Is he fully stretched out, or is he kind of an opener? Because I know
we got Gomber. No, we only have him projected for 6 points, so obviously he's not going to be pitching long. He's not stretched out. He's been coming out of the bullpen.
Say it again.
He's been coming out of the bullpen, so like he's not going to pitch 5 innings or anything.
Yeah, and the Colorado pitcher, what was the guy's name that was supposed to be starting it? Oh man, help me out, chat.
Doesn't matter. We're not playing him.
Well, I just wonder if he's going to be the long man that's going to be coming in. I thought his name was like Zach Davis or something like that. Am I making that name up?
I don't know.
Is that a person?
Doesn't have an N in it. Maybe I'm going to play that guy.
I don't recommend you play him if it is a person that's real or not, but I think that's the name of a person that throws baseballs for a living. Davis, yeah, according to Tony in chat, saying it's Davis as well. But yeah, I'm pulling up the Rockies bullpen usage of late. Just want to confirm that with Gomber because I know he's been working out of the pen. And I feel like he went relatively long not too long ago. I'm always keeping an eye on the lefties in that Rockies bullpen. Let's see. Gomber last went. Oh, geez, I can't even see. Oh, no, you know what? I bet I can pull it up like on DraftKings or something like that.
All I know for pitching, I mean, we look at our ownership here. Like Ohtani, it's a 14-game slate?
Yeah, Ohtani, it falls off a cliff real fast.
Right. It's Ohtani, 54% projected ownership. Burns, 52% projected ownership. Then you get some Valdez at 14. Kershaw, which I think is definitely going to go down now, 12, and then it's all single digits from there. So it's like, me personally on this slate, with that high ownership at pitcher, I know you could still do whatever you want. I think I'd be much more inclined to like build lineups with only one of them. Like if you literally just said, I only want to build lineups with one of Ohtani. Every lineup you have has one of Ohtani or Burns, but they're not together. Then you could like build any stack you want, and because all these other pitchers are going to be like.
But what stack's going to be popular? I don't. It's going to be such a mishmash of nonsense.
Yeah, no, but the price ranges. If you're going to play 2 10K pitchers, you could only fit in. Like if I run,
price doesn't matter though. Look at the price.
No, it does to some extent. If you're playing 21K worth of pitching, yeah, it still does to some extent.
All right, I'm putting in Ohtani and Burns. I got 3.5 to spend on DK. Like, yeah, I can't all of a sudden play Betts and Trout and like another expensive.
Oh, there you go. Then that's why you're going down. You're playing Ohtani with Louis Varland or something, right? Or
hey, so I made up this theory and it just made it up, but I feel like the Angels are going to let Trout get his 40th home run, so they're not going to pull him out until he hits his 40th homer.
Well, what happens if he doesn't do it in a couple of? What happens if he doesn't do it by the 9th inning?
He goes home eventually. He just does not hit a home run.
No, they just leave him on the ball. They just leave him. The team bus leaves, and they just leave it there. Wait.
Who's throwing baseballs to him at that point? I just think that he's like one of the safer big spends on the slate. I know the ballpark's not great, but the opponent he's facing has not, his cup of coffee so far in the majors. He's not looked spectacular, especially to righties and righty power. And that's, hello, Mike Trout.
Johan Oviedo revenge game. I just want to point that out.
Is how vengeful
he played for the Cardinals, right?
How vengeful is Johan Oviedo? And by the way, you mispronounced his first name. You included the N.
Oh, I forgot. Yoha. Sorry. No N's today. There's no way. There's no way I'm rostering Ik Pavetta.
Well,
Shoei has an N in his name. Burns has an N in his. Yeah, I'm going to be really off. I can't even play Louis Varland today.
Oh, you're in trouble.
What pitchers can't I play? Everyone has an N. $20 pitcher. I can't play Pavetta. I can't play Oviedo.
No,
I can't play Herman. I can't play Stevens. I can't play Glenn. I can play Merrill Kelly.
He's okay. I think he's playable. Like for the record,
right.
Like
I can play Eric Fetty.
I don't think I would do that.
Right. I mean, Graham Ashcraft. I mean, there's no N there.
My favorite cheapie. I thought the lineup was going to be a little bit worse for Atlanta. They didn't go full measures, complete full measures, but they went at least half measures. Atlanta, Swanson leading off, Arcia, Matt Olson. So they got Swanson and Olson, Contreras a regular, Ozuna sometimes a regular, sometimes not. Rosario, he typically is out there against the righty. Then Grossman, Heredia, and Adrianza. Elias Hernandez is least stretched out, and he was throwing in the minors, and he's cheap. He's in a good ballpark to throw baseballs. I think he's one of the better cheap options if you're looking for that. I don't know how necessary it is. Again, if I'm looking to save salary, he's probably my favorite cheap pitcher on DK as an SP2. Look, you tell me who's better as a cheap SP2. Maybe Glenn Otto.
I like Oviedo. I mean, there's obviously Pavetta at 7K, Oviedo at 5,700, Louis Varland. I mean, there isn't that much there. I mean, you could play Domingo Germán, but against Texas, that's a good strikeout matchup. I'm just not sure how many. I could easily see Germán coming out after 60 pitches. I mean, we're not projecting that.
Well, he probably doesn't start, right? They're not playing for a week, right?
Right. But still, they don't. I mean, they've been doing that when he came back from injury anyway. So, why have him go 100 pitches no matter what?
Is he one of their first 3 pitchers? Like, he isn't, right? He wouldn't be in their rotation. He'd be a guy to come out of the pen, I would imagine.
So
in the playoffs,
I mean, he'd be a long reliever, I guess, in the playoffs.
I think, yeah. Just want to see if the roof is going to be open. The roof is open in Texas, according to Ranger Blake, John Blake on Twitter. So,
Ranger.
Yeah, he's
no N. There's no N.
Oh, I forgot the bit. I forgot the shtick.
N Wednesday. No N. There's a no N Wednesday.
I can't keep up with this. It's currently 85 in Texas. So, if you're looking for a good weather game for hitting baseballs, that's the best one. I don't know how the ballpark is affected by weather and how much is actually covered, but I assume most of it's open, right? I think it's I think just the crowd is kind of covered with their roof. Yeah, just sort of think, because everywhere else, even if the game goes in Boston, right? You pull up chief meteorologist Kevin Roth, you pull up the weather edge as far as Boston, and it's been bad the last few days. It's been wet and cold. 10 miles per hour, wind blowing in from the monster there in left field, 56 degrees, 76 similar games as far as previous games with this weather. A decrease of 30% homers, a decrease of 14% in runs. Decent weather for the White Sox, 75 degrees there, slight bump in homers, slight bump in runs. That was my bold call today in the expert survey, Blender. My bold call. If you're martingaling it, you're broke at this point. But if you stuck with the White Sox and they failed you 161 times, on the last day, the White Sox are going to troll everybody, and they're going to be – this is a bold call, whatever. I don't want to say anything. You got to be ambitious, these things. The White Sox are the top scoring team in the slate. How about that? Did I lose Blender?
I'm sorry. I'm trying to figure out why the projections aren't updated. We got the Cardinals. What's going on?
It's the last day. There's a bunch of names we never even heard of. What do you expect?
Jeez. I almost feel like I don't want all the games to start at the same time. It's what's going on?
You got to use your one time today, Blender. If you haven't used it this season, you got to use it because this is it.
Is it for a season in the sport also?
I think so. Depending on
I want to save it for something else then.
You got to consult. I don't know if it carries over to the MLB playoffs. That's another good question.
Okay. Look. Geez, I ran 100 lineups with our projections.
What do you got?
No, I didn't stat. Okay, let's see. I didn't put in 100%. Sorry. Let me put in 100%. I mean, I was getting 100% of both. Let me put in.
You're gonna get both. I think you're gonna get Ohtani and Burns. That's what you're talking about. Basically 100%.
Yeah, in literally everything.
Yeah.
Okay, let me try it again now. I'm going to run 300 again. Maybe get less of that. I've never seen that before. From 10K pitch, just jam in both 10K pitchers and just play any stack you want.
So who are the cheap, terrible players that are popping up?
Well, I mean, I didn't run it as a stack. I just run the just cash lineups essentially.
Yeah.
But I mean, the cheap players. Let me go. Gary Sanchez, a catcher.
Okay, makes sense.
Zach McKinstry,
leading off for the Cubs.
Nick Gordon,
batting third, I believe.
Jake Fraley.
He's kind of expensive on DK, isn't he? I think he's like 4.7
money. So it seems like the Cubs are coming up. McKinstry, Franmil, Ian Happ, getting some G-Man Choi. Even though I'm not a big fan of that Tampa Bay game with the weather risk.
Same.
Naquin, then Carlos Santana, Gavin Sheets. I mean, the who's who of who exactly you should be playing.
Alan and Chapo are talking about that Cubs and Reds game, and I think that's even I think Mr. Tuttle wrote about it. Somebody wrote about it today in the expert survey, and I agree. That's kind of one of the sneakier games. Just don't be afraid to play some terrible teams. Good ballpark, better ballpark environment than most as far as Chicago versus Cincinnati. There's some power hitters on those teams with this that's worth something, right?
Right. They strike out a lot though, also.
But it's Sampson versus Ashcroft. I mean, but those guys are going to be like they're not exactly K savants.
Who is Delilah? Is Delilah starting for the other team? So it could be Sampson versus Delilah.
That's
the type of show we're running for the last game of the season, folks. We're not playing players with N's. We're using our 1x on 1v1s like B Shot and Chat. I mean, like just lean back and relax. Like this is gonna be a train wreck.
Yeah, feel free to join the conversation there and chat and chime in and whatever sort of nonsense you want to contribute. I might always welcome nonsense if you know I'm pro nonsense. You're pro nonsense too, I think, to some degree, right?
Yeah, no, I believe in nonsense. Yes.
Yeah. Any nonsense you want to contribute to the show, feel free. We're here for the next half hour. Dave Potts, 2-time millionaire winner. He's going to go around the horn and give you his favorite plays, position by position. He'll break down the pitching. And, when we kind of give like an overarching conversation. I'm not going to force you in the last slate of the year to go around the horn. You'll be miserable having to do that. If you want,
I could do my home run pick. I could look at the Oracle though.
Oh yeah, you got the Gray Sports Almanac there. You got the
I got the Oracle. The Oracle's. I'm bringing the Oracle up on the screen.
Okay,
right.
so
also known as the bat projections, but they're not updated. What's going on here?
I got the Magic 8 Ball if you want to call upon that.
Is Rowdy Tellez in the lineup for Milwaukee?
I believe so.
Okay, well, there you go. There is the top home run.
I don't like that as the most likely to get a homer.
That's
Kelly's pretty solid.
I got Tellez 1, Olsen 2, Alvarez 3. Acuna's not playing. Sanchez.
Olsen in Miami.
What?
Olsen in Miami. I will say, I mentioned Eliezer Hernandez. I did kind of bury the lead on him. His homer in the fly ball issue this year has been crazy. That's probably one of the reasons why he was down in the minors. 58 innings. It's a small sample, but he's almost given up 3 homers per 9, 2.93 to be precise, which is horrific. That is just terrible. Even Josiah Gray is like, dude, that's bad. You got to stop giving up homers. And he's protected by that ballpark, and it's just a ton of fly balls too. 57% fly balls. Homer in a fly ball is just short of 19, so it's not that crazy. He's been unlucky, homer in a fly ball, but it's not an extravagant number. It's just he's given up so many. Is there anybody in Atlanta? I think Olsen's interesting, but I don't know, just guessing, but I would venture to say Matt Olson's a candidate to get the hook at some point in this game. Why is he still playing? Why is he starting?
All these guys. Who knows? Who the hell knows?
More likely than not is the point. Yes, everybody's.
Why Matt Olson out of anyone? If he's playing,
because he actually matters in the playoffs. He's a useful piece to this team.
Get him some reps. Get him some practice.
What? He's had 600 bats this season. What kind of?
Well, 601. You got to keep on going, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. I don't know. I would guess that. Like we said this yesterday, if there was a draft, if you were drafting on players most likely to get pinch hit for, I think he's like a first round pick.
Let me look at the Oracle then. I could look at the Oracle.
Now,
the thing about the Oracle, it has pinch hit risk in the Oracle, right? The bat projections.
Hey, know what?
Michael Stefanik, is he in the lineup? Yes, he's the highest pinch hit risk.
No, I mean, look, the bat is great, but I don't know if the bat is ready for game 162.
No, well, I know. That's the point that I'm making. It's like, why even bother looking? Who knows?
So right on cue, Alan in chat says one of the beat writers there for the Atlanta, David O'Brien, says expect Swanson and Olsen to exit early after they officially get. Oh, so they have 162 games to play for. So that I guess that's still a thing. They're only like 3,000 games behind Cal Ripken. Good for them. But they're not going to play the entire game. Yeah. So Swanson was my other. I was hoping to get him in a wraparound. I was trying to get Olsen and Swanson in the draft. This guy's going to get pinch hit for. Yeah, those guys are not long for the game. There's no reason. Yeah. So much for that. But thank you, Alan, for proving me right out the gate. We'll see. Managers lie sometimes too, but the game means nothing. I think Houston guys are kind of vulnerable too, but you never know.
Whoops.
Somebody mentioned Goldie, like, oh, Goldie's got to get that resume all sweet there for St. Louis. Well, he's not even playing, right? Goldie's not in the lineup. Yeah, never mind. Cross him off.
Right. Well, that's why I'm just running lineups. I don't know who's in the lineup and who's not in the lineup. They're releasing lineups. That's why I was looking before. I'm like flustered. Well, this guy's in, but it doesn't say that there, but it says it here, and I'm reloading everything. Okay, I ran 300 lineups again with stacks, with 5-man stacks on. 95% Ohtani, 86% Corbin Burns. If you don't get those guys, like you get a little Nick Pivetta, Oviedo, Kelly, and a bunch of other guys in here. And then stack-wise, the top stacks you're getting are the Cubs, the Mets, the Twins, the Reds, the Dodgers, the Mariners. Then you get a little bit of the Astros and then the Rays, right? And like I said, that Rays Boston game, like this is not the type of slate to like risk it on like weather.
Yeah,
because do they even need to play?
Obviously Boston cannot wait for the season to end. It's been a horrific year for them. The best thing they did all season was like not give up a home run to Aaron Judge in Yankee Stadium for number 61 or whatever it was. Just kind of walked them. That's their crowning achievement of the season. Tampa, I assume they're obviously in the playoffs. I assume they're already set, right? Tampa is playing the Guardians on Friday, by the way. It's a 4-gamer. They spread it out. It's going to be kind of fun. I don't know if you're into such things, Blender, but we got 12 o'clock noon game. Rays Guardians.
Come on, get out of here. Noon. I'll be doing my show in the morning, and then I got like 3-4 shows I do on Fridays. I ain't be playing that playoff slate. Baseball's done to me. It's dead to me, Dean. I don't care what happens in the playoffs.
You got Phillies Cardinals at 2 o'clock. You got Mariners Blue Jays at 4. What 3 shows do you have on Friday?
I got the premium game theory show for NFL. Okay, I record that with Tuttle at 2. I got the pregame show, and then I got a soccer show at somewhere else.
Oh, okay.
I do that. To me, like, dude, I'm getting mentally prepared these next 2 weeks for NBA. Right?
How do you do that?
By just relaxing, because I know that once NBA starts, it's just a chaos for 4 hours.
It's so stressful. It's the most stressful one. Baseball is like it's relaxed. You never get any, except for now. But like during the season, you have lineups. Whether it can be goofy and annoying at times, but who's playing.
Even NFL is nice and calm. You wake up early in the morning. You listen to the RotoGrinders stream, right? You're there at 10:30 Eastern, right? Then Eric talking about playing players that I never even considered before, and then the Carlucci and Christie and what I it's nice, and I build my lineups. I'm having my mango smoothies or whatever I have in the morning, and that's nice. Basketball, it's like you could be totally fine and be like 6:55 Eastern. You're like, okay, that was pretty good, and then like 6:56, it's like 14 players are out, and it's like locks in 4 minutes. Good luck.
It's usually pretty clean start to season. Usually, I don't, it's not as wonky. And, back end obviously gets a little bit dicier, but right out the gate, they're not messing around. We got a 2-gamer, like a dress rehearsal on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, I think it's like a 13-gamer or a 12-gamer. And then Thursday, TNT, again, like 2 or 3 games. And then Friday, here's 12 more games. So
I like them if they balance it out. If they give us like 8 or 9 games every day, like for DFS, I like that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's my favorite sport to watch too.
You and your basketball.
You and your I like soccer, so I'm not going to besmirch soccer.
I'm missing soccer right now to do this show.
Who's playing?
The 6 teams playing. Borussia Dortmund just scored. Rafael Guerrero. You have him in your lineups. Man City just scored now also. I don't know who scored.
I don't know. It was probably one of the defenders that nobody plays, like a punt.
Well, no. If you're playing, you played a lot of Man City. The more goals that Man City score, if you play contrarian lineups, you're going to be dead.
Is there a plus minus in soccer or no?
A plus minus of what?
Like if you're on the field, you get like just a plus. You know, like hockey.
No. There's no plus minus stat in.
I'm just trying to think of the I don't know how the fantasy scoring goes. I don't. Yeah.
Right. But let's just say that Man City are minus 2,500 favorites today. I don't see that in most sports.
Is that greater than or less than the odds that Leicester have to win the entire thing a few years ago? No, that's still less than, right?
No. For Leicester to do what they did, it's the greatest feat in the history of sports, because you have to understand it's not a single event.
Yeah.
Right. It's very similar. Like, who's the worst basketball team out there?
The Kings.
The Kings, the NBA.
I'm sure teams that are worse than the Kings, but
okay, let's just say that there's no playoffs in NBA, and the Kings won the league by beating every single team, home and away, right? And had a let's just say a 74-8 record.
Yeah.
What are the odds of that happening? Because obviously you could sneak into the playoffs. An 8th seed could sneak in and get.
There's no playoffs in soccer too, which is weird. But yeah,
right. Soccer doesn't have that. Domestic soccer doesn't have that. So like you need to have the most points in 38 games. And Leicester City were the team most likely to be relegated that season, right? So they were most likely to get dropped to the league below, and then they won the whole thing.
Which I mean, and somebody had that ticket, I'm sure. And didn't they had to sell some players to kind of like salvage, right? They kind of took advantage of that otherwise they wouldn't have been able to afford. I'm not as savvy with it as you are, but I kind of learned some about it. But I do love the relegation system. I guess in America we just can't do it. It's just too tricky. It's too many moving parts.
It's not tricky. It's just that it's all corporate interest. So that it's a protected system.
There's a lot of it's not happening. Basically, it's a pipe dream,
right.
For multitude of reasons. Joe in chat, what slate are we talking about? We're talking about the Mlb Dfs slate, 14 gamer sprint slate. We got Cheese, Dave Potts. Cheese is good. You got Kevin Roth coming in about 15 minutes, and Roth will let you know what's going on weather-wise there in Boston. I'm giving it a refresh. I assume it's still orange, right? Oh, we have an update.
What's a Mark Vientos, and why is he playing third for the Mets? Who are these people?
He's actually a big power hitter. He's got like a 70 raw power score on Fangraphs. So he actually is a legit power hitter.
I'm looking through some of these lineups that project well, and I'm like, okay, Stuart Fairchild. I remember him, playing on the Reds. Okay, that's fine, right? Pascantino's been around for a while. I get some of these. Josh Jung, okay, he's been the past month or two.
But producer Steve, who's a Mets fan, is very upset that you don't know who Vientos is. He just chimed in the chat. So Vientos is the top prospect for the Mets. He's not the top. Let's not lose ourselves because the catcher is their top prospect. But 70 raw power score on Fangraphs. If you're shooting for a homer, but by all means, go with some Vientos. He's a big boy, 6'4", 185. So, Naked HD is asking if I could scroll up to the first lineup. I don't have control. Who's got control? Is it myself? No, it's not me. Is it yourself or is it Steve? Who's showing off the screen share today?
That's me. That's mine.
There's
something you want me to show, Dean?
Naked HD in chat saying, can you show the first lineup? Probably asking to see the optimal lineup. I'm assuming you're showing off some lineups right now.
Yeah, I mean, I am. I'm building more because we updated projections as of 3/12, so I'm just running it again.
Devin is trolling me in the chat too, having a pretty good time. I know I don't have control of the screen share. You would never give it to me, rightfully so. Why would you? I would just screw that up for sure. I meant to say, I refreshed the weather, and it's yellow now in Boston, so a little bit more optimistic as far as Roth. The Mets are orange yellow. He updated both, and I'll drop this in chat for the people. Give Blender his thummy thumbs. If you're hanging out in chat, kindly hit that like button. Do subscribe. Turn on those notifications so you know about all those fabulous shows that are going down. So many more as well. NBA will be in full swing 2 weeks from now. Looking forward to that. As far as stacks, what's your official stand as far as the Dodgers? They're the best.
They're the ones to pay up for. I mean, if you're going to play a cheap pitcher, why not play the Dodgers? Play Trey Turner.
The cheap Dodgers. There's only Betts, Turner, and Freeman are expensive. Will Smith too.
Right, but still, it's very hard to fit those in as a stack, even all three together, while still paying up twice at pitcher.
So I made a lineup on FanDuel, depending on where you're shopping, obviously. I got Freeman. I have a Dodger stack, including Freeman, right? And Mike Trout, who's hitting a homer today, and Shohei Ohtani. Really easily. Not hard.
You don't have Corbin Burns in that lineup.
Well, you can't play two pitchers.
That's the point I'm making. Are you talking about FanDuel?
Yes, this is.
Oh, yeah, why even bother talking about FanDuel? FanDuel, dude, you could literally play everyone.
I wanted to show a little bit of love. People play FanDuel, people play Draftkings.
Right, but I mean, FanDuel's even more ridiculous this slate. Like, you could literally play.
Yeah,
leave money on the table to be different. I mean, like literally, you could. Why wouldn't? I mean, you play Ohtani or Burns on FanDuel. I don't know if there's any reason to play anyone else.
I'm not playing anybody else. Like, you can, but I'm not going to.
You have to hope that if you play anyone else other than those two, you have to hope that both of them bust, which could happen, obviously.
Or, you have to hope that, like, several of the expensive guys, that have big days that you can't fit math-wise.
Right, true.
You got to hope for that, right? Which, I mean, I suppose that could happen, Trout. But, again, you still get two big bats and Ohtani and Burns.
Right.
Or one of those.
Right, exactly. That's the point.
Jump back to DK, though. You were talking about the Dodgers. And, again, the Dodgers are cheap outside of there is some cheap pieces, I guess I can say. Gallo's really cheap. I don't know how long he's starting the game. So, he's going to start left on left versus Gomber. Gomber probably goes one time through or something like that. I don't imagine he pitches much beyond like 3 innings or so. We'll see. And then it'll almost definitely be a righty coming in. Probably that Davis character we were talking about, who doesn't look particularly good. I assume he's still in the building and available to throw baseball, so why not? But yeah, your official take as far as the Dodgers and then other stacks.
Joe Miner asks in chat, obviously is a question for you. I think it's a viable strategy to avoid 5-man stacks today. So more 2- and 3-man stacks.
I think that's an MME question. I personally would not put the rule in. Like, I can't. And like I'm not building MMA today, but if I was, and if I was building 150 or 100, like if you go to the lineup HQ, you can say, I want this % of lineups that are 5-3, and I want this % of lineups that are 4-4, this % that are 4-3-1. I wouldn't close the door on 5-man stacks if that's what this question is. I wouldn't do that. I would give myself the open for it. How about yourself?
I would only play 5-man stacks.
Well, there you go.
It's a 14-game slate. I mean, the larger the slate, there are more teams that are available to put up a lot of runs, and you'll need 5 batters from that team. If it was a smaller slate, then no, I'm not going to necessarily play all 5-man stacks. But on slates like these, like if you just did 5-man stacks on large and 10+ game slates, by default, heuristically, you're going to be building better lineups on average.
Yeah, I mean, it's a simplified way of saying it. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Like, they have to be good 5-man stacks too. They have to be made.
Well, yeah, any team could go off. I mean, if it's the Pirates today, then you're going to need 5 Pirates.
If you were playing 16 runs, 5-man stacks this season, nothing else, just a 5-man stacks, you would be negative EV.
That's correct. On large slates, of course.
No, I'm saying that it would. I'm just saying if all you played was just 5-man Oakland A stacks this entire season, right? You would have binked
once. You would have. They put up 12+ runs.
Do you think you'd be successful this year? Maybe. It doesn't look much,
dude. Right? I've seen them do it. I've seen them do it when I didn't play them, and I'm like, okay. No one played the A's, and they scored 14 runs, and it happened like a couple of times, and there you go.
Yeah. How many times does it have to happen in order to like break even or be ahead? A couple, I guess, depending on what lineups.
Well, it depends on how many lineups you're playing. If you're playing 20 lineups, I mean, you're probably way ahead.
We got some BBP according to the chat. J-Ram, this is 5 at bats, so grain of salt, right? 4 for 5, 2 homers for J-Ram. Oh, we did have somebody had the fish. Somebody got sick. The pitcher for the Padres is no longer throwing baseballs. Was it Clevenger? I think it was Clevenger.
He's on the IL, but I mean, he wasn't going to start today, right?
Wasn't Clevenger supposed to start? Am I making that up? I thought Clevenger was supposed to start today. Maybe I made that up. No, he was. No, he was.
Craig Stammen is starting.
Yeah, he's a bullpen guy. Yeah,
right. Craig Stammen. I mean, I'm not pronouncing the last N. Out of solidarity with Andrew Knizner.
I think you mispronounced that. Yeah, so it's a bullpen game for San Diego. And that's the other part, by the way. We're talking about how strong like the top is, like theoretically, assuming nothing goofy happens, or more that we're talking about how far it falls off a cliff, how quickly that happens. Just kind of run through like Dylan Lee starting for Atlanta. He's a bullpen guy. He's you can't start him.
No, but half the pitchers in the pool you're not even going to play.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it gets whittled down really, really quickly is kind of the point I'm making. Rabia starting for San Fran. You can't start him. Gomber, you can't play him. I mean, if you were considering it, I don't know why you would be, but you can't. We mentioned Framber Valdez.
I mean, you can. It's probably bad to do so, but I mean, you can do it.
It's not recommended. The book does not say to play him.
The book? What book is that?
The book, the book.
My book?
The Gray Sports Almanac. You ever hear of it?
Oh, the Almanac?
Yeah. Do you know Gray Sports Almanac?
Yes, I know, but the book doesn't say that. The book just has results in it.
Yeah, well, you could piece it together. You can see the result. The Gomber pitched 3 innings, gave up 4 runs, and he was worthless. So why would I play it? You can figure it out. Do a little bit of work on your own. Okay, Naheem Hines is going to be showdown captain tomorrow because Jonathan Taylor's not going to be playing. Hines is not the kind of guy they run into the ground, though. Like, I wonder how it's going to – I have no idea who they've been playing. He's at Houston? Might be Houston. You know the football showdown sites? You're aware?
Yeah, because Taylor's out. So, yeah.
Yeah. But Hines is not a guy they're going to, like, feed, like, 20 touches to. I don't think. Maybe they do. I don't know who else is left. Couldn't tell you the depth chart beyond Hines. There's somebody else lurking, though. Curious how that works out.
Marlon Mack is gone, right? Jordan Wilkins, is he still around?
I don't think so, but I'm not sure. I don't know. Just hanging out and see what the chat has to say. Yeah, they're
I'm getting a lot of Cubs. I'm telling you, with our projections, I'm getting a lot of Cubs stacks.
I think that's a good game. Like, it's a good game because you got bad pitchers and you got a good ballpark. And I guess these guys stick around. Like, I think they're more likely to stick around than most as far as the game. Like, why are we taking out Suzuki? We might lose McKinstry to like a pinch hit or something like that if they care about such things at this point in the year. But I like both sides of that game. Is that the highest total on the board? 8.5? I think it is. Like, overall, both teams included.
Overall total, yeah. These totals are very low. Yeah, 8.5. Everything else is under that. Yeah. It's a really bad day for baseball.
It's bad. It's not good, man. I mean, the team total obviously is the Dodgers, but the Rockies are weighing them down. Facing Kershaw, their team total is 2.65.
Except for the Blue Jays Orioles, which is just a half a run.
Yes, well, I feel like
not on the slate. You can't play those. You can't play those guys. Don't play those batters and don't play those pitchers.
Yeah, Kikuchi and Watkins in a 0.5 total. I think that's incorrect. I think the doubleheader really messes with our system. I'm not a tech guy with the X's and the O's and the ones and the zeros or whatever, but somewhere it gets lost in translation and things get goofy. Don't play Matt Olson. Don't play Dansby Swanson.
Maybe you play them for contrarian reasons, Dean. Where's your take, Dean? Where's your take that even though it's quite possible based on what they're saying, that they come out early, that Matt Olson doesn't hit 2 home runs in the first 2 at bats and then comes out?
Well, I mean, you could. That's you're taking the scenic route. You could tell yourself any story. Like, I could tell myself a story too. You could talk yourself into it, but when it comes to likelihoods and probabilities, and I believe you respect probability, you respect math. That is not the most likely scenario, even close to the most likely scenario.
Right. It's very similar to the probability of you winning a GPP with taking a batter against your own pitcher.
Just end the sentence. Put a period on me winning a GPP. Forget about you don't have to add the qualifiers right now. Allen's got the right idea. A Galaxy brain is to play Grisham at 0.1% when he subs in for Swanson. That's the move.
The Galaxy plan is to play Marquise Grissom and hope that he unretires and plays baseball again.
Out of nowhere on game 162, Marquise Grissom's going to kind of retire. He hasn't played in the pros in 15 years.
Old is that? How old? He was on the Expos, right, Mark?
That was an awesome team, the Expos team. Marquise Grissom and Delino DeShields and Vladimir Guerrero Sr., Pedro Martinez, Randy Johnson, Larry Walker.
He's 55 years old.
Yeah, we're getting older. We're all getting older at the same rate. He's 55 now, Marquise Grissom?
Yeah, that's what it says here.
What? That's okay. I didn't realize he was that old. I would have taken the under 55. but he's not playing. I think it's safe to say. And are they even related to Grissom's?
I don't know. Are they?
Is that his son?
That his dad?
I don't know. Yeah, I feel like we would have heard that, and I don't know if we have or have not. This is the important stuff. But pull it up. Yeah, you got the Google?
Yeah.
Well, go to Wikipedia and you Google Grissom, Marquise. And Ryan beat us to it in chat. That's not his son, apparently, according to
right. Yeah,
it
doesn't say that here, right? It's a different Grissom.
Yeah, it's not like the funky of it's not the funkiest of last names. There's the Grissoms all around. Yeah, that Expos team would have won the World Series, at least barring playoff wonkiness. But and then basically they had the strike in 1994, and that's what ended baseball in Montreal. Montreal's like, yeah, forget it, we're done with baseball. And they left several years later and went on to, where did Montreal go? Colorado? Or was Colorado a straight expansion team?
No, Montreal went to Washington. They're the Nationals.
Washington. Yeah?
Yes, of course they are. What are we talking about? How do you not follow this?
I know this. I know Colorado, I think, was a true expansion team. Miami was a true expansion team. Yeah, Washington. That makes sense.
The Marlins are expansion now. I'm surprised you didn't think the Marlins started in 1912 in the original National League or something like that.
Do you want to know the Marlins starting lineup from 1993?
Probably better than it is now.
It probably is.
They had Mike Piazza, right?
No. They traded for Mike Piazza, and he was on the team for like 7 days. They moved him again to the Mets. They traded for him from the Dodgers, but that wasn't. Sheffield was like their best piece. Was he in the 1993 team? Like the really bad team was like
Wade Boggs ended up there also. No, Wade Boggs ended up with Tampa Bay.
Yeah. They gave him some kind of weird incentive to come to Tampa. Tampa collected a bunch of really old dudes really briefly. They had Fred McGriff, Jose Canseco, Wade Boggs, and there was another one too. Like guys that are like way past.
I'm bringing it up. The 1993, right?
Scotty Pose, Junior Felix.
Opening day lineup was Pose, Barbary, Felix,
Charlie Huff,
Dave Magadan, Benito Santiago, Jeff Conine, Walt Weiss, and Charlie Huff.
Walter Weiss, yeah. Mr. Marlin, Jeff Conine, yeah. Playoff hero many years later.
Santiago was a very good defensive catcher.
Yeah, he was legit. He was good. Charlie Huff threw he's one of the last knuckleballers in baseball. He threw absolute nonsense. If you ever have time, take a second, pull up the very first pitch thrown in the Marlins season in their infancy. It was a ball like 2 feet outside, but because it's the first pitch against the Dodgers, they just had to call it a strike. It's ridiculous. I don't know if
Angel Hernandez the umpire.
No, it wasn't. But famously, Eric Gray called the worst playoff game of all time when the Marlins faced the Braves. I think it was like a 1-0 game, and Levon Hernandez had a CGSO with 19 strikeouts, maybe not 19, but everything was called 2 feet outside. It was egregious. Log into that, and it's completely insane.
Their rotation was Charlie Huff, Chris Hammond, Jack Armstrong, who used to be a decent pitcher for the Reds.
Reds, yeah.
Right, Ryan Bowen and Pat Rapp.
Yes. Oh man, what a terrible team.
And let me just tell you, for those tuning in, these pitchers from 1993 are probably better to roster today than half the pitchers that are in the pool currently.
Trevor Hoffman out of the bullpen was really good. He had a bunch of saves that year.
Yeah, I mean, for when they did win.
No, it wasn't Trevor Hoffman. It was somebody else. That was
no. Hoffman was on that team. It was
but he wasn't the closer. The closer was a guy that was rehashed. It was good someplace else.
Alan has a question. Marquise Grissom of Jeff Conine, last piece in cash.
Grissom
obviously got stolen base upside.
Grissom or Conine, yeah. We got Chief, and this is what happens on the last day of the season. And there wasn't really any questions in the chat. They were just kind of running with it, I suppose. But we kind of laid out what's going on as far as the slate, what you're looking at. We've used all the adjectives to describe it. Give me 3 adjectives to describe this slate, Munder.
Train wreck, that's a noun. Unpredictable.
Okay.
And shitty. I'm just going to go for it. Who cares about monetization? We don't monetize these videos.
Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth is here. Dave Potts is as well. Hey, Dave, before anything, just thanks, man. Thanks for writing your article every single day. It's It's a huge help. I do appreciate it. Anything I miss, you're always on top of it. And I love sort of like doing my research and then saying, oh, wow, Dave agrees with me. And I get excited. But and then you can exhale, go into hibernation. You are appreciated. And Roth, your weather reports, you're here too. We all love your weather reports as well.
But like Cheese,
he doesn't
really
disappear for 6 months, though. He actually works all year.
Yeah, right. Sadly, I do not get to hibernate. But you bring up a good point. Cheese, always great. You know, these 6 months I get to spend with you every year, always enjoyable. And as always, you just do a fantastic job.
Right back at you, Mr. Roth.
Thank you.
Dave, do you have 3 adjectives to describe this slate?
I will just say I'm sure that what Blender said is correct. It is no prettier than that for sure.
Was it blurred out on your the producer Steve blurred the words out because it was too harsh? You didn't really hear what it was, but you
I mean, I heard it was 3. There was definitely a beep in there. Yeah, they do handle my audio separately.
Yeah, and Roth, you're excited about basketball in a couple of weeks, I assume. That's according to Devin in chat. You're a sport you actually love. You love basketball, right?
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait. And last night I got to see some of the highlights from that game with the 1 and 2 draft pick coming up. Did you see those highlights, Dean?
I saw the highlights. Full disclosure, I'm not a big college basketball guy. They look great, but I didn't know anything about them going in. But like, I'm sold. Okay, these guys look good. They look legit to me.
One of them's like 7'3" and hit 7 threes and can dribble. The other guy looked even better than him.
Yeah.
Have you guys noticed, like, already in the first couple minutes of the show, Roth seems more alive than he has in the last 6 months. Just from this little bit of basketball talk.
It's so great.
He cannot be rid of me soon enough.
No, look, I love working with the baseball team, but yeah, it's not my sport, so I'm stoked to get some basketball content. Quick aside, when I went to the baseball game earlier this week, all of my friends are fascinated by how much I know about baseball. Because in this circle, I'm the baseball idiot, but in any other circle in real life, I am some sort of baseball savant because I know the players and I know all these little details, which I just thought that to be hilarious.
Were you talking the whole night about the big dumper?
That's what I was going to ask.
There's plenty of big dumper talk going on.
Did you crowbar the big dumper in is what I was going to – how do you just segue right into the big dumper? You guys know about the big dumper. You don't know the big dumper?
Right. Let me tell you about the big dumper. But yeah, so anyways, baseball content, it's good. It's good. It's okay. Basketball content coming soon, baby. So excited to, kind of close this chapter and start the new.
Hey, Blender, just to tilt you, we have one more scratch.
I know. I saw Jonathan India's scratch. What's going on? They came up with the lineup.
It's the last day of the season, and Jonathan India is like one of the most fragile players. He's like Mr. Glass out there. Why would you want to throw him out there?
Wouldn't the players, what the last game of the season, wouldn't the manager go to the players and goes, who wants to play today? And then decide that before they make the lineup.
Well, you're going to say no? Like, no, I'm good. I'm just going to chill.
Why not?
But he did say no, just he waited an hour.
He rope-a-doped them, I guess. It's got to keep them on the toes. There may or may not be baseball played today in Boston. Roth will tell us about that in a second. I did see you kind of upgraded the possibility of baseball happening. We'll talk about it. And myself and Blender step aside. You got anything else for the people, Blender? Are you ready to go or what?
No, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to be nice and quiet for 2 weeks, calm down for NBA season, and then get ready in 2 weeks to sprint for 90 seconds to change 800 lineups at once when 3 players are split.
Yeah, I'm going to step aside as well. Do appreciate y'all. I mean, anybody who's grinding this, 3 o'clock on a Wednesday, game 162, whoever's hanging with us, do appreciate y'all hanging out. And all season long, we appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Stay tuned, of course. Baseball content will be happening on the site for the playoffs, of course, and other sports, basketball, football in full swing, hockey as well. On behalf of myself and Blender, do appreciate you guys watching the first portion here of the show. Now it's the FanDuel sponsor Crunch Time starring Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth, who's taking away right now. Roth, go for it.
Appreciate it as always, and good stuff. Good season to you as well, Dino and Blender. And let's talk about it. We got the final slate here, the final countdown, and yeah, we're pumped here. Cheese, I want to say it's a good one, but it's not really, right? It's not.
You do want to say that, but yeah, it certainly is not.
Yeah,
it's so weird. Okay. Like a real life kudos to MLB for trying it like this, because most years you have a race or two on the last day, and it would be great with all the games starting at the same time, even if we had 2 or 3 wildcard races left, which usually you do. I mean, this
is a new thing.
Was a great idea.
I didn't realize this was a new thing.
Well, usually the season ends on Sunday, and so they keep kind of the staggered times.
Oh, okay.
Like it could have been a really great day, because really most years, especially, and they added playoff spots, it was reasonable to think, hey, we're going to have some races on the last day. But alas, this is what we got.
Yeah, alas, we do not. Hey, if you're watching the show, it's because of our wonderful sponsor, Fanduel. If you're watching on the YouTube for free, hit that like button for us. It's not just a like for this show. It's a like for a whole season's worth of work from Mr. Dave Potts, from myself, and for the rest of the MLB team. So if you like or even love what we've been doing for the last 6+ months, go ahead, hit that like button for us one last time. And don't forget, very important thing here, sign up for the FanDuel Sportsbook. If you're in a legal sports betting state, take advantage of the no sweat first bet up to $1K. Terms and conditions do apply. Check out RotoGrinders.com/reviews if you want a little more info on that. We also have you covered on scores and odds, not just baseball content, but all kinds of any sport, and literally any sport you can think of. We've got picks for it in there. You want table tennis content? I don't know if we've got that, but I bet we could. So make sure that you're checking out scores and odds as well. Cheese, we got to talk a little bit of weather here. Boston, I don't think is going to be an issue. So we play it. Does that sound good?
Yeah. I mean, that's a pretty darn leftover game anyway, but good to know. Like, better to not have to worry about it.
Okay. You want to hear about the thing that I don't feel good about? Is New York.
Okay. Another game, honestly, it's so barely relevant at all. Like, I don't think you're going to break anyone's heart if you say not to play anything here.
I just don't. It's going to rain. I know that. And I think it's going to rain too heavy for them to just say, like, we're going to try to play through it. Like, I think it's going to rain harder than that. I think a delay is likely. And if this was in the middle of the season, I'd be like, yeah, they'll probably come back out and finish it up. I don't know if they care to come back out and finish it up, right? If they're like,
yeah,
I think we maybe ended up seeing that in Boston last night, although the radar was down, so I couldn't even see. The bottom line is I think that's the only risky game. Anything else you want to do is fine. But in New York, tournament, dart throw, fine. I'm not saying it's a definite washout. It's not like it rains all day. I'm just worried about their desire to play and finish the game. And I think that's a fair concern, right, Cheese?
Yeah, and I certainly think if they get a few innings and it pours and they stop, like, why? I mean, just why bother? So, yeah, I have officially one national stack, and that's it. I don't have a single one-off from this game. I don't have a pitcher from this game. I don't have a Met in this game, and I'm certainly not going to add any now.
Yeah. Okay, good. I had somebody ask if they can play catchers in that game, and it's like, fine, but I just there's probably a better choice somewhere where you don't have. Yeah. So I just don't think you need to unless you really feel you need to. That's it for weather. I'll also add that game's really crappy hitting weather anyways. It's
yeah. And that's the same. Boston is not good hitting weather either, right?
Correct. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't love it. Avoid it if you can. Hey, that's it. That's my entire spiel. That's my final weather spiel of the year here on Crunch Time. Note, I will still be doing weather forecasts through the playoffs as relevant. But Cheese, talk to me about this slate. You can break it down for me, or you can say it's already been broken down because it sucks, and you can just go into pitcher.
Yeah. So yeah, the big picture is on the hitter side, we are just throwing random darts at random things. The position by position is tough today. I mean, we'll go through it and talk about why, but the only thing we actually know about this slate, and even that, I'm hesitant to say we know anything. Theoretically, if we know anything about the slate, it's that you should play Ohtani and Burns, and it doesn't matter what else you do because everyone else is just throwing random darts at nonsense other than that. I think personally that on DraftKings, I think Ohtani and Burns will be like 80% owned in smaller field stuff, single entry type stuff, maybe 85 and probably 60-ish, even in like the big, huge tournament. And it's hard to argue with trying to go under on that. I mean, you can and just hope that like either they have a bad day or maybe, I mean, they don't have to let their guys pitch. The Angels have been pretty darn obvious that they're letting Ohtani pitch. Maybe the Brewers pull Burns early, maybe just because they can, but there's no reason not to play those two guys. Now, you can build lineups where you spend more salary than that. I guess I'll talk the FanDuel side first, where it's much tighter. If those guys do what they're supposed to do, you can't possibly win without them because of what this slate is. But if either they have bad games or for some reason they get pulled.
So there's no third decent pitcher here that's even like in contention?
No. So Framber Valdez and Kershaw are on the slate. They're not like going to pitch like 2 innings or something. I think they may even get 5 or 6, but like they're worse to begin with, like for DFS.
Right.
These are not strikeout pitchers. Tony and Burns are strikeout aces. Valdez and Kershaw are more real life aces to begin with. They don't have the ceiling. I don't know why you would do it. Personally, I think if you're not playing Ohtani and Burns, I think it's just for salary reasons. The one guy I would most like to know the pitch count on is Aaron Savali. He would probably be the first cheap guy I would stop at. But I'm pretty skeptical. And I didn't end up using him. Nick Pivetta in that Boston game is probably fine. But really, as much as you can't even use this hour if you have it, I think Eliezer Hernandez is my favorite cheap guy. You do not need a $5,500 pitcher on FanDuel, but he's actually, potentially okay. The Braves are not starting a full lineup, and it sounds like they're not. Swanson and Olsen are even really actually in the lineup. Like they get one at bat, and they're probably out. So I do like Hernandez. And if you go that low on FanDuel, you probably end up leaving some salary, which is fine.
Okay.
On the DK side, there's a little more reason to go with one of the aces plus a cheaper guy. Hernandez is still my favorite there. I think Pivetta is also very solid there. Savali, Domingo Germán, Oviedo, Barlin, Davis Martin are the other random cheap names that I'm considering. But really, like we're so burying the lead here. Just play Ohtani and Burns, and that's what you are supposed to do. Okay.
Then let's talk about what we're supposed to do here with hitters. I feel like this is where it gets funky.
Yes, I do not know. So the big question is with all these playoff teams is if they're going to play. Like, I think what happened with Houston last night is a good example of they hit enough home runs early that you could still actually win with a Houston stack. But as soon as they got up and hit a couple home runs, everyone just started coming out. And, I think that's with any of these playoff teams, they get a big old lead. It's just kind of over.
Even if they don't, right? I mean, who cares if they get a big lead or not? These games are irrelevant, every single one of them, right?
Right. So with all of these, any team going into the playoffs, I'm going to assume their guys probably get pinch hit for, and yet that doesn't necessarily matter. Because it's very unlikely that there's any team anywhere that scores 10 runs on this slate. So if you get the team that scores 10 runs in 3 innings and then everyone comes out, you've probably already won, honestly. Now, with that being said, the better teams are also more expensive. And so you're not really prioritizing them anyway. I think you're prioritizing cheap bats, and maybe you spend up here or there with, I think certainly my favorite build, and I think what's going to be very common is, I think everyone's going to see this with the playoff teams, and it's the Astros and the Padres and the Yankees and the Mariners and all these teams that go completely underowned, given that they can do what Houston did last night, which is hit well enough in 4 innings to win a slate. The one team I'm just going to keep going back to and say, theoretically, I think they should care is the Dodgers. They can't possibly, with the caveat that I don't know if their manager understands baseball, but they can't really be thrilled with going into the playoffs with a 5-day rest once the playoffs start, in this much of a slump. Like, I think if they can score 100 runs today, I think they would love to do it.
Yeah.
So that's the team that I'm totally fine full stacking, and saying I think all these guys are in the game, the whole game, even regardless of how much they score.
Interesting.
So other than the Dodgers are the only playoff team that I'm highly interested in. The other teams that I think are not sneaky at all. You want to talk about weird chalk on the last day of the season? I think the Cubs are the chalk. That's some weird chalk. And then we're going to see, the Angels. Trout will be the highest owned, expensive bat. And then it's just a bunch of random darts, honestly. If I have to rank my teams, which I guess I have to, I don't know if I have to. After the Dodgers, I will go Cubs, if not factoring in the ownership. Then I will go Brewers, Angels, Rangers, Tigers. There you go.
Okay.
But I'm playing everyone. Because I know that I don't know. This is if any team scores 12 runs to win a slate, it's going to be just the most random team. It'll be like the Pirates or the Tigers or something.
Sure. Okay. A quick note: it seems the Mets are under a delay officially here, at least according to somebody in our chat, which puts me in the same spot where I was in. It never really rains that hard, but they're in a delay, and it never fully clears out either. So I could see them just saying we don't care. They never have to finish this game, correct, Cheese?
Correct. Yeah. No game today has to finish for any actual reason.
I wouldn't be shocked if they just decide they're not going to play it instead of sitting there waiting around for 6 hours to try to play it. So just be cautious. If you still want to have a random stack in there, okay. I'm not saying it's definite washout, but it's risky. Cheese, my other thought before we start going position by position here is, are there playoff teams with guys who do not have pinch hit risk? I realize, let's say Aaron Judge, for example, maybe they don't want to give him the full run, but is there a guy on that team where they're like, well, who cares if he gets hurt anyways? They'll let him go?
No, except no team has enough players on the bench to just bring in a whole new lineup. There is no possible chance for everyone to get pinch hit for because there aren't that many players.
Right.
So even the playoff teams, you can go through and pick out which guys are the most likely to play the whole game.
Right.
But in every situation, it's the guys you don't want to play.
That's
the
what I was wondering.
Coming out first.
Yes.
So if you want to play the Mariners and wonder, well, who comes out first? Well, probably Haniger and Rodriguez, but that's who you want to play. Yeah. Or, do that with the Astros. Well, it's probably Alvarez and Bregman. So
that's exactly
yes, you can figure this out, but no, it doesn't really help you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's what I thought. Let's go position by position. Cheese, start us off with a little catcher talk where we're definitely playing the big dumper. Or not.
We would love to. For the pinch hit homer, but he almost certainly will not pinch hit.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
They're resting him for when they really need him on Friday.
Yep. Good choice.
So sadly, Roth, we don't have the dumper or Rutschman on the slate today. So
I literally don't even know what to do without those two guys. You just always play one of those two guys.
I do love Will Smith. If you got money, play some Will Smith. I think Gary Sanchez is the chalk at 3,300. He's fine. I don't love anyone who's chalk today because no one's great. But your pivots off of him, I'd rather spend up a little bit and play like Eric Haas or Jonah Heim. But I could see PJ Higgins or something. But other than Smith, you want to catch in your stack in almost every situation.
Okay, first base.
The one guy that I really do like is Rowdy Tellez, and he's cheap. He's 28 on FanDuel, 44 on DK. Freeman is probably not as necessary a spend position-wise as Will Smith or Trey Turner. You can hope that Anthony Rizzo or Ty France stay in the game, and they might. I don't know. Or they hit one home run and you're set. Like you don't need a 7 home run game today.
Sure.
So I do have a little bit of Rizzo. Nate Lowe interests me a pretty good bit. And then you could go as cheap as Gavin Sheets on FanDuel. On the DraftKings side, the one Mets guy that might have gotten some play is Dan Vogelbach. I would not use him. I would not use anyone in that game on their own at this point. I would just play Tellez.
Yeah, I think that's a good choice. Okay, great. Second base for me, please.
On DK, we're going to get Nick Gordon chalk, but FanDuel has the Max Muncy thing as per usual. Javi Baez, second base eligible. You could do a cheap Zach McKinstry leading off. Aledmus Diaz, probably more likely than other Astros to stay in the game. Officially, Muncy and Baez are the only 2 guys that I really like. I guess we should briefly mention this Cleveland situation. They're like the wonkiest, highest priced team I've ever seen on DK. And I'm not sure they even get a whole game. So like, why would you play them? And that's why you would play them, because why in the world would you play them?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Third base. And is Locke at the top of the hour here?
It's at, I guess it is. Yeah. There's one game that starts at the top of the hour.
Okay.
So we can take questions after most of the games start at 10 after.
Gotcha. Okay.
So third base, the Dodgers are the go-to, Muncy and Turner. I like Patrick Wisdom a lot on FanDuel at 2,600. I have no idea if Jose Ramirez plays the game or not, but I think he's one of those guys who's viable even in a couple at bats if you want to spend up. Cabrian Hayes on DraftKings. I think a lot of the Pirates are okay, cheap plays. Moncada and Urshela. Like I think that Twins White Sox game is another reasonable place, either for stacks or for one-offs. It's one of the only decent hitting spots. I think that's about it.
Okay, shortstop, please.
If you have money, you're playing Trey Turner, or you're getting sneaky with something like O'Neal Cruz. I would rather get sneaky with Bobby Witt personally, who's priced way up again against Savali. Javi Baez is my favorite play for the salary at 39. I think Nico Horner is interesting. Willie Adames is another spend up a little bit to be different. It's a pretty decent position, so I don't mind spending up with Turner, obviously. And then Witt and Adames are my next 2 favorite, followed by Baez.
Okay, excellent. Take me to the outfield.
All righty. So the spend ups are, I think Trout is the chalk. I'm not sure why we're not showing Trout as the high owned guy. I think he is the main spend along with Betts, where most of the ownership will go. The Cubs on FanDuel are really cheap and should be pretty heavily played. I think Franmil will be played heavily on DK, where he's cheap. The Dodgers are very useful salaries on DK. Jake Fraley is a FanDuel value who's kind of weirdly priced on DK. For the most part, the rest of it's kind of just stuff in a stack. Like I have some Andrew Vaughn one-offs and some Adolis Garcia. I don't think there's much else that I'm prioritizing outside of a stack. Yeah, there's really not.
Okay.
I got nothing thrilling for you.
Okay.
I wish I did.
You want to give me home run picks here before we open it up for questions?
You know I do.
Okay, let's hear it.
So let's go. Definitely Rowdy Tellez is the first one, and Adolis Garcia.
Very good. Let's get some QQs in here. DK Cash, Cheese. You want Garrett Mitchell or Stuart Little? Are those? Is that a 2v2 or a 1v1? I
assume there's no one named Stuart Little. There is a Stuart Fairchild. But I like Garrett Mitchell, regardless of real name or not.
Is Stuart Little the mouse?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. All right. That's a little funny. All right. Hey, do you think the
And
Guardians
what's
have
funny
heavy...
is I still only slightly prefer Garrett Mitchell.
Do you think the Guardians have heavy pinch hit risk?
I do.
Okay. Yeah.
Making their DK salaries even goofier. But they're still in play.
So are non-playoff teams just going to play like a normal game?
It's more likely. There's still pinch hit risk there. But there's a better path to a full game.
Sure.
But yes, there's more pinch hit risk for everyone than there is at any other part in that season.
Okay, very good. DePrince says on FanDuel, Cheese, you want Fraley or Ozuna?
Fraley.
Very good. Back in the old Discord. NBA DFS FanDuel Util Cash. You want Gordon or Sanchez? This is N. Gordon.
That's a good one. I think I like Gordon there.
Okay, Dan Jam. First off says, Cheese, you're the GOAT. Second, any interest in a red stack in DK single entry?
Yes, I like the Reds a lot because I think everyone's playing the Cubs side of that game. And I do like the Reds.
Okay. And stick around, by the way. We're going to get Cheese's postseason takes once we hit lock.
Are we?
That's what I'm actually here for. Rangers fan, who I don't see Rangers fan ask a lot of questions, but is clearly in the Discord, hanging out, watches all the time. So thank you, says, thank you for an amazing year. Cheese and Roth will miss you guys until April 2023. We will miss you guys as well. And you're welcome. And thanks for hanging out with us. Cheese, DK single entry, is Varland okay?
He is. Like, there's this big conglomerate of cheap pitchers that are all equally just kind of viable. And yeah, he's not my favorite. I prefer Hernandez, but yes, Varland is okay.
Very good. Okay, Jay says, of the spend-ups in the outfield, by the way, Pham scratched, in case anybody cares. Cheese, do you care?
Who's scratched?
Pham, according to Matt here in the...
I mean, I think I have one Pham I might need to get out, so thank you. It is pretty crazy how many people have been scratched. Like, what? Like, did they not really know this an hour and a half ago?
Right. What's the deal here? Yeah. They just trying to figure out who's the most and least hungover? Like what?
I guess, yeah. This is some strange stuff.
Yeah. Okay, do we get your favorite spend-ups in the outfield? J-Rod should get all his bats, being that he just got back from injury, question mark? Or maybe that makes him...
Yeah, see, I don't know if that's true. Like, I don't feel strong enough to say that. It could be or could not. To me, Trout is far and away the best spend up in the outfield, and that's his second.
Okay, very good. DK Cash, this is a 3v3 for you, Cheese. Hayes, Betts, Mitchell, or Peterson, McKinstry, Trout?
Hayes, Betts, Mitchell.
Crazy Coop says, hey, thanks so much for another great season, Pops and Roth. You're welcome. Thank you. Really going to miss this daily ritual. QQ is leaving a ton on the table salary-wise in play today.
If you're playing Ohtani and Burns, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Don't leave it at pitcher, but it's fine to leave it at hitting, yes.
Okay. I had to read this name twice to make sure I wasn't going to read an embarrassing fake name, but I don't think it is. Any thoughts on Ken Waldachuk for Oakland?
In general, I like him long term, and last week he finally looked good for the first time in the majors. I don't see how it's necessary today. But in general, I'm a fan. I wouldn't be stunned if he pitches well today.
Okay. Geez, we caught up on all the questions here. We're about a minute until lock. Can you take us through your postseason scenarios here? Like, who's winning what? I think we can start in the AL. You've got the wild card is the first one. The one I care about is Rays versus Cleveland. In Cleveland, who you got?
Well, it seems like that should be like the nonsense series. That's kind of the most interesting one to me. Those are both teams that I'm kind of weirdly scared of in real life. I think Cleveland wins that.
I didn't know. Does Cleveland have pitchers? They got one guy, right? They got one guy. Can they pitch?
They have more than that. They have 2.5.
That's all you need.
And some bullpen. They got Bieber and McKenzie, which is a pretty tough one too. We got
McClanahan,
regardless of who the hitters are.
Yeah.
9 guys who never strike out is tough to beat for 9 innings. Like it just is.
Yeah, and the Rays can't really hit.
That is the problem.
Like they can't really hit. That's an issue. Okay, who comes out of the AL? The Astros just too good?
I think it's got to be the Astros.
I think so. Verlander looks so good. They can pitch. They can hit. Just like,
yeah. I won't be stunned either way, but I think they beat the Yankees.
Yeah. Okay, and then who's coming out of the NL? Not that nobody likes the NL. Forget the NL. I hate the NL. But anyways, who's coming out of there?
They do have more good teams over there. It's going to sound ridiculous, and it is ridiculous, and it's not the most likely thing. It's the least likely thing. I wouldn't want to face the Phillies.
Okay.
I really wouldn't. They are not the best team.
Right.
They are probably the worst. And I'm not sure that matters.
Okay.
I'm going Phillies for the long shot.
I absolutely love it. All right. And who do you got winning it all?
Sadly, Houston. Yeah.
I don't even want that, and I'm in Houston. So
yeah,
I feel you. Okay, and then
it is just like I say this every couple of years, like such a great life lesson to the kids that you can cheat as much as you want, and eventually people will just forget. And you just go on with it, you know?
Yeah,
it's really sad, but it's what it is, and they're just going to.
That's what you tell the kids. That's the life lesson.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, what's the other takeaway?
Yeah. Dig says, will you be blessing us with the end of your song? No, Cheese is resting his vocal cords. He was ill. He's coughing, and he has a performance a week from now. So like a real one where they pay him. Maybe did they pay you?
Yeah, they do. Yes. Not that it wouldn't be real to sing for you, but yeah, you do not want me to sing today. You barely want me to talk.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Last MLB lock for the 2022 regular season. I don't even know what that question means, but what's the last lock?
He means lock. We've reached lock.
Oh, that's the last lock. We've hit lock. Okay, I thought he wanted like a stone cold lock bet or something. Yes, you're right. We have hit lock. Shout out to Aaron. He says, hey, thanks for the season grind, Kevin and Potts. Appreciate you guys, Dean and company as well. Thanks to all the RG producers, which is a great point. Our RG production team is literally the best in the business, and they grind very, very hard as well. So big thanks to them as well. Let's see if we got anything else on Discord. Oh, here's the final question. I'm going to let you out on this, Cheese. Who is the MVP?
Well, I think it's fascinating how much people care about everything relating to Aaron Judge, good, bad, otherwise, home runs, not home runs, MVP, not MVP. Like
it's New York. It's the New York.
People have really strong takes. I think you'd be stunned how unstrong my opinion is on any of this. If I had a vote in the MVP, I would want to see for sure what the wording on the ballot is. To me, that's the big misunderstanding is no one agrees on what MVP means.
Okay.
And so as far as I know, unless they have changed the ballot, it doesn't actually even have a clear definition on the ballot, which is really the problem. So for me, I would say what player, if you take this player off the team, how much worse is the team? I think that's just what it is to me.
Okay. And your answer then?
And my answer is Shohei Ohtani is MVP.
Yeah, let's go, Cheese. Let's go. Oh, man.
It's like he is two people, but it's one guy. Like, you know, if the fact that Judge had the better hitting season is great. That's not what the award doesn't say the best at a thing.
I agree.
So-
I mean, I think the answer is honestly just to give them both the MVP. Like, I really
Yes.
honestly believe that in my heart of
Yes.
hearts.
Or
but
I think the answer is, somebody at some point needs to define what this word is.
yeah, agreed.
And
I think Judge.
I
is
think
going to
Judge
win.
will win.
Me too. I'm in full agreement. I think
And
Judge will win.
I have no issue with it.
And exactly, I that's fine. What he's done is historic, and that's amazing. But the other guy does two things. He's like two players in one. He's two players in one. Which
Yeah, I'm still not sure people are fully grasping how incredible this is.
Yeah, I'm with you. But okay, well, that was a fun way to end it. Get to piss some people off there before we get out. So that's good stuff. Cheese. As is typical here, when we do a two-man booth, you actually get to say goodbye. We have not done any of those all season, so it is fitting that you get to say a goodbye on what is the final show. So you get to say your goodbye, and then I'll close us out here.
All right. Yes, it's been fantastic. Thank you to everyone for hanging around all year. I won't be, I won't have any articles for a while or shows for a while, but I'll be around. I'll be tweeting about some playoff baseball. If you want to join me in playing some DFS hockey or esports, that's where you'll be able to find me for the next 6 months. But I'll be back and I'll be around. So yes, thank you.
Okay.
And
So he's not full hibernation.
Be a stranger.
He's still grinding some things there. Guys, we really do appreciate you guys hanging out with us throughout the entirety of this season. It's been a good one, honestly. I really enjoyed this season, and looking forward to the next one, but looking forward to a little break from baseball as well. So as always, for Cheese and for our wonderful production crew working hard behind the scenes, and for you, we appreciate you. We love you, and we will catch you next season. You have been crushed.